Hey guys, this is Melissa Bachman. Are you ready to stop spooking deer before it's even time to hunt them? Then you need the new Flex S Dark cellular trail camera from SpyPoint. With a no-glow flash option, long-lasting solar power, and a ton of settings that can be changed anytime through the SpyPoint app, there are no more excuses for letting your deer get wise before the season even starts. So check it out for yourself and see why the SpyPoint Flex S Dark is the unstoppable and undetectable scouting tool you need for your next hunt.
Midway USA brand product designers have one straightforward goal: develop high-quality, technically sound products and deliver them to customers at reasonable prices. If you are immersed in the shooting sports industry and pay close attention to every single detail, you know our products are built right and stand up to everyday use. Who has shooting mats and range bag systems to hunting clothing and just about everything for the outdoors? Log on and shop 24/7 with super fast shipping. MidwayUSA.com.
In this episode, we're diving into the tangled, tenacious, and tasty world of invasive edible plants and fungi. We'll explore species like garlic mustard creeping through the forest understories, kudzu climbing over power lines in the south, Japanese knotweed bursting through concrete, and even the golden oyster mushroom, who's spreading throughout our woods. We'll unpack their origins, how they became invasive, the damage they cause to native environments, and of course, how to turn them into sustainable meals. Along the way, we'll share cooking tips, foraging advice, and field stories from the wild front lines of ecological eating. Whether you're a forager, gardener, hunter, angler, or just a curious foodie, this episode will show you how to turn environmental challenges into opportunity, one invasive bite at a time. Grab a drink, grab a seat, let's roll.
Join Justin Townsend and the Harvesting Nature crew as they explore the world of cooking wild fish and game while sharing recipes, tips, tricks, and lessons learned from their pursuit of wild food. We sure hope you ate before the show, 'cause you're gonna leave hungry. This is the Wild Fish and Game Podcast.
Welcome to our podcast series focused on foraging, cooking, and eating invasive species. I think this is our last episode. We've had a good run. We did invasive mammals, amphibians, reptiles, birds. All these things have become serious ecological problems in North America. And this time we're shifting gears from animals to plants and fungi. While invasive animals tend to get the most of the headlines, invasive plants are arguably even more destructive. They spread quietly but relentlessly, dominating forest floors, smothering wetlands, and choking out native wildflowers and trees. Even just this past week, I was working at a local learning farm here on Oahu, pulling invasive grasses so that in this particular little wetlands area we were working at, they were using it. It's a kind of a flood plain that helps prevent the whole farm from flooding, but they're populating it with local varieties of sedge and other kind of grasses and plants. And so in order to filter the water as it runs from the mountains into the farm and out to the ocean to help remove, just various things to help keep the water cleaner, to keep the farm from flooding, but also to maintain a good, healthy population of native plants. Out here, a big invasive is California grass, and so we were removing that along with a bunch of other crazy plants. But really, today, what we're talking about are going to be more of the edible varieties. These are probably some of the most invasive that and widespread that you'll see across North America, and they are also very delicious and tasty. So we've got garlic mustard, kudzu, Japanese knotweed, burdock, dandelion, autumn olive, Himalayan blackberry, and golden oyster mushrooms. We're going to chat a little bit about their origins, their problems, and how to identify and harvest them responsibly, and then most importantly, how to make them delicious. These species may be ecological villains, but they could be culinary heroes when used thoughtfully. I guess a lot like Batman, really.
Just like Batman.
Just like Batman. Okay, but first, let's talk a little bit of safety here, and I'll turn it over to Adam.
Yeah, thanks. So I just wanted to get a little disclaimer out of the way because proper identification is extremely important when foraging for mushrooms and wild plants. Eating the wrong one or even an improperly prepared one could seriously harm you or even kill you, as well as the people you feed it to, which are often loved ones. So let's go over a little bit of safety. You're always going to want to use several sources to identify what you think is an edible plant, not just one. So a lot of people just have their little app on their phone or something, or they bought one book or heard about it from one friend, and you need way more information. Plants and fungi appear differently in different situations, whether it gets more sunlight or less, so it might not look like the picture in your book. But get yourself some books. Try to get them region specific. They'll help out way more. Any of Sam Thayer's or Pascal Baudar's books are great for how to identify and how to use some of these things. Mix in some respectable websites as well. The internet can definitely help you. Adam Harriton, who we've had on the podcast. A lot of these guys we've had on the podcast. Learn Your Land, which is on YouTube. Excellent. Alan Burgo's Forager Chef webpage. Hank Shaw's Hunter Angler Gardener Cook. My webpage, The Intrepid Eater, and The Harvest Nature, of course, are all great resources. Use them. If you're on social media, find some social media groups and pages, and that can really help you cross-reference. There's some groups that you can plug your stuff into and see what other people think. There's other ones you can just follow to get familiar. I use social media often to see when things are coming, so if all the people south of me are starting to say things are showing up, then I can expect them a week or two later. So it's good for me to have everything ready. TikTok's Black Forager, at Forage Your Food on Instagram, Herb Plant and Foraging Identification Work Group on Facebook are all wonderful. Best bet, though, is to find a local nature and ecological group and go for walks with skilled foragers to learn firsthand. Nothing beats that. Make sure you never, ever, ever eat a mushroom or plant unless you're 100% sure not only its identification, but how to properly process and prepare it. Remember, cooked morels are delicious. Raw ones could kill you. We've seen that happen recently in Montana. It's not only about identification, but also about how to properly process and prepare things. So, with that out of the way, let's get into our first invasive edible, which is garlic mustard. Something that I've eaten a fair amount of myself. So garlic mustard, or Elaria petiolata, is one of the most infamous invasive plants in North America. It's native to Europe, some parts of Asia. And it was first brought over in the 1800s as like a medicinal herb and even as an early spring green to eat. It pops up a lot sooner than a lot of things in North America, which would have made it quite valuable to settlers. It's full of vitamin-rich leaves, garlicky, spicy flavor, so it would have been highly sought after. Unfortunately, once it escaped gardens, it spread with astonishing speed, especially in shaded forests, floodplains, along trails, everywhere that people were. It just spread so quickly. Garlic mustard poses a serious ecological threat, and that is because it releases chemicals into the soil that suppress native fungi. Fungi, many trees and wildflowers rely on to absorb nutrients, so they're working in a symbiotic relationship, and garlic mustard kind of puts a block into that, and it can really, by doing this, it forms really dense carpets. It blocks the sunlight from reaching native plants. It smothers, all the spring ephemerals like trillium and bloodroot, all those beautiful spring flowers that pop up. It kind of really smothers them. And once it takes hold, it's notoriously difficult to eradicate. Pretty nasty plant, but the upside is it's edible at every stage of growth. The young leaves are peppery and garlicky, which are ideal for like pestos or simple sautés. You can throw a little bit into some other wild greens like nettles, whatever, to give it a little garlicky flavor. Later in the season, the roots develop like a really horseradish-like kind of spicy kick to them, which is really, you can just kind of like grate it down like you would horseradish. And the seeds can be used like black mustard seed. So collecting seeds, you could actually make your own mustard with it or something similar. Eating garlic mustard isn't just tasty, it's actually an act of ecological resistance. You can just harvest as much as you want. Harvest it freely and often. Don't just harvest the leaves, pull the whole plant out when you do, which goes against most foraging knowledge, but just yank it and use it as you will. And every leaf and root that you eat is one less releasing toxins into the forest soil here. So so get on it. Get as much as you can. If I'm foraging, I'll forage some for myself, and then I'll just pull the rest of the patch and let it, bring it into my fire pit. In terms of its flavor profile, like I said, it's pretty garlicky, peppery. It can be slightly bitter. I've had some that are very bitter, so before you throw a whole bunch in and ruin a dish, taste a little bit first to make sure. You can use it as like a pesto, which is a lot of people use it for. Like I said, add it to your sauteed greens. It goes really well with eggs and pasta and cheeses and that kind of thing, like any garlic does. I actually have a recipe for it on the Harvesting Nature website. It's a wild greens wild greens mac and cheese. So I just made like a ooey gooey, fantastic kind of mac and cheese, but I incorporated a lot of wild spring greens and in part about half garlic mustard. So it creates this like homey, comfortable dish with like this, a little bit of garlicness and spice and a touch of bitterness. It's really fantastic. So it's a good way to kind of get your kids to eat more wild greens or garlic mustard, or yourself. It's a good way to introduce it to people. So yeah, I always liked it. Have you ever had it before, Justin?
I have actually. This past spring, whilst turkey hunting in Virginia, I was not successful in the turkey hunting, but I was successful in the gathering of garlic mustard and made like kind of a scallion pancake take on it, blanched it down to kind of combat some of that bitterness, which worked. It was also young enough that it wasn't really bitter at all, and then tossed it in, or I put it down on the pan and then poured the batter on top of it and let it like kind of cook inside of it, and then we ate it with the kind of a dipping sauce as you would with scallion pancakes. So it was pretty good, pretty tasty. But I think another one that you see quite a bit all over is kudzu, the vine that ate the South. So it's originally from East Asia and was introduced into the U.S. in the late 19th century as a decorative garden plant. We like to bring plants that we can sit and admire. But it was later decided that not only was it good for gardening, but it was also good for soil erosion because it is a prolific grower and it spreads out. Farmers were even paid to plant it, and within a few decades, it was covering entire hillsides, the barns, which the farmers probably didn't expect, telephone poles, and trees, and it smothered everything in its path. Today, it's found in at least 30 U.S. states, advancing northward as the winters warm. We'll use global warming in air quotes, I guess. I don't know. I think it's still a thing, but whatever. Ecologically, ecologically, kudzu is a nightmare. It grows up to a foot a day during its peak season, which is during warmer months, ironically, and it grows in a warmer environment. So as you can see, it definitely can easily outcompete native plants for light and for even space. Its dense mats of foliage block photosynthesis for anything beneath, and its roots alter soil chemistry. But like many invasive, it's a survivor's food. Nearly every part of kudzu is edible. The young leaves are mild and tender, similar to spinach, and they can be used in soups, stews, or even tempura, that's a fun one. And the starchy roots can be processed into a flour or starch used in Japanese cuisine to thicken sauce or make desserts. And even the fragrant purple flowers can be turned into jelly or wine. Ooh, wine. Okay, now we're talking. And by eating kudzu, foragers can chip away ever so slightly at an ecological problem while enjoying one of the most versatile wild foods out there. So there's flavor profile. It's mild, grassy, slightly sweet in flowers. Starchy roots are reminiscent of arrowroot. I would say, like, if we're talking about plants, right? And we use the word grassy, is that equivalent to the meat side saying gamey?
I don't think so.
But
I've had some like apples that have this like really nice grassy flavor. Like it's nice when it's subtle.
Reminds me of mowing my grass.
I don't know. There's a grassy flavor that I find quite nice, but it could be overpowering as well, like just eating grass. Like that.
I'll go with that. All right. So not the same. Same, but different. But way different.
Same, different.
Okay. Well, if you're going to go out and harvest some kudzu, you're going to want to make soups, stir fries, jellies, as I mentioned, wine, and then obviously keep those roots as you pull them up for starches, for thickening sauces. You're probably going to want to dry the root in your dehydrator and then put it in a coffee grinder or someplace like that. But have a cool recipe here, and this one's from food.com, is stuffed kudzu leaves. You want to think of it very much just like stuffed grape leaves, almost. You're going to have some rice in there. You're going to have some ground lamb, beef. In this case, I would suggest using some sort of ground wild game. Probably likely venison would be very well. Diced tomato and allspice, so a little similar to Greek dolmas, but not really. But if you wanted to sub out the allspice, Harvested Nature's Big Game Blend would do phenomenal. Would be really, really well. So once you have your big old pile of leaves, you're going to want to shoot for medium-sized young ones. You're going to remove the heavy center stems from the leaves by using a knife and cutting down each side of the stem to about the middle of the leaf. Put 1 teaspoon of stuffing in and roll it in the shape of a cigar. Place these at the bottom of a large pan so the rolled leaves will not sit directly on the bottom of the pan. Oh, place something on the bottom of the large pan.
You don't just want them burning to the bottom.
Yeah, there we go. Got it. And then you're going to arrange them alternatively in opposite directions. When all are in the pot, pour in the tomatoes. Oh, so you're pouring it on top. This is way different. There wasn't a picture.
It's almost like cabbage rolls a little bit.
Yeah, it's almost like cabbage rolls. That's exactly the best way to describe it. Press down an inverted dish, add water, preheat 350, cook for 40 minutes, add lemon juice, and cook 10 more minutes. So that's cool.
I think the lemon juice helps make the leaves not so dull, army green. Often it will make them a little brighter.
Yeah.
And if anyone does want to make that, I have a stuffed grape leaf recipe on my website, Intrepid Eater, that I did like a little photo instruction on how to like take the stems out and roll them.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Very much the same. But like I mentioned, I saw kudzu growing up all over the South, all over Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, wherever kind of my travels were, it was there. Yeah. But Adam, what about you? Has it crept its way north?
No, it has not. Not huge. I was just looking at a distribution map because I was trying to think if I'd seen it before. I don't think I have. It seems to have stayed to the south of the Great Lakes. And maybe where I grew up in like far southwestern Ontario, like near Detroit, which is very close to the. We're on latitudinally close, like on board with California, basically. So we have more, kind of lots of snow, milder winters, and lots more Carolinian zone plants kind of moving into that region. So I bet if I took a long walk around my parents' region there, that I could maybe find some, but it'd be pretty rare. I think it's mostly sticks to the south.
Nice.
Which I think it can stay there. We've got enough invasives up here. I'm going to talk about another Japanese plant that's made its way over. Because these are invasives, they're often coming from Europe or Asia, so they retain their names. But few plants have a reputation as bad as Japanese knotweed, which is Reinutria japonica. This one's native to East Asia, as you might kind of gathered from the name. It was introduced to North America in the late 1800s. Again as an ornamental, and again as an erosion control plant. If you are some sort of kind of municipal person that works with these things, don't bring in invasives to fix problems, because they don't fix problems. They make more problems. We've seen this over and over and over again in every single thing we've ever talked about on this series, I think. I would just like to say stop. But anyways.
Please,
just stop. Don't do that. It's stupid. It doesn't work. Anyways, what began as a decorative novelty, kind of, because they're, big, tall reeds, it turned into one of the continent's most destructive invaders. Its rhizomes grow through, like, asphalt, through concrete, foundations. It's actually earned a place on the world's worst weeds list, so it's made its way probably places other than North America. It kind of thrives in disturbed soil along rivers, railways, urban lots. Anything that thrives on riverbanks is really problematic because the seeds flow down the river and then just kind of get deposited in the bank further down, so these things spread very quickly. Forms massive monotypic stands that choke out native species and destabilize stream banks. Monotypic just meaning that there's nothing else but Japanese knotweed. Its resilience makes it almost impossible to remove without heavy machinery or herbicides, which kind of sucks. You almost have to take a huge machine, just take the entire piece of soil out with a clump, or you have to spray the shit out of it. And I don't know if that's a great way to deal with invasive species. I'm still, not too sure about that. I worked in conservation for a large part of my life, and that was one of the ways they took care of these things. But I always really preferred the more physical ways of just removing it ourselves. Or my favorite way is eating it. And with this plant, the young shoots harvested in the early spring, when they're under a foot tall. They taste like kind of like tart rhubarb. They're kind of like hollow, round rhubarb tasting, a little savory. Make sure you're only harvesting in unsprayed places with clean water. Like I said, they spray these things, so you can talk to your municipality about where they've been spraying. You can get a sense of where they're doing it. Make sure you're also working with clean water. If it's like in a ditch next to some sort of slurry pouring out, you don't want anything to do with that. So clean water, no spray. You can cook this stuff down into pies, jams, chutneys. They go really well with strawberries, just like rhubarb. So you can do a wild strawberry and Japanese knotweed kind of dessert, which is delicious. It also contains, I don't even know how to say this, resveratrol, which is the same antioxidant compound found in red wine. So, yeah. So, while maybe an ecological terror, it's also a bit of a superfood. You know, if you harvest early, you can often help suppress its spread and enjoy a really, truly unique spring ingredient at the same time. So I harvested a whole bunch this year. You really have to be there for like the week it's in the mode. Like it's only about a week time span that you have where you can forage. So what you're going to want to do is identify the plant, geolocated whatever in your phone, and then go back in the spring and monitor it until the shoots are about a foot tall. And that's what I did. And yeah, it's really delicious. I made like this really cool kind of Indian fruit chat. So chat's like a snack with like a kind of a spice snack. I made it with like chickpeas and stuff like that. I have a recipe for that somewhere. And then I made a streusel cake, or a cake with streusel topping, which you can find on the Harvest Nature website.
Ooh.
This turned out awesome. I fed it to a whole big group of people I had over for dinner, and everyone loved it. I'm not much of a baker, so I was a little apprehensive about it. But basically, you're just making like like a coffee cake or one of those kind of easy cakes. Just like flour, baking soda, baking powder, sugar, cinnamon, butter, eggs, that kind of deal. I used buttermilk just to give it a little bit more tang. About a cup and a half of sliced knotweed shoots, and then I just made like a streusel topping on top, and it was delicious. And it's my kind of cake. Like I'm not a huge fan of like cakes full of icing and chocolate and a bunch of stuff like that. I like really simple kind of almost savory cakes, and this really fit the bill. I really enjoyed it. What are your thoughts about putting wild greens in desserts?
You know, I don't really know. I was just thinking through it. I mean, I love like zucchini bread. It's really good.
Yeah.
And that's what your kind of knotweed cake remind me of a bit. With
Yeah,
the
it's closer to
streusel.
that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
The streusel topping definitely would be an added bonus, I think, in there. But I don't know. Writ large, if I've had too many like sweet greens, I say that, and then I've had like basil or
Yeah.
I don't know.
I kind of like that mix of sweet and savory. Like I don't like things when they get overly sweet.
Yeah.
So when you kind of mix in my favorite desserts have like salt on them, basically, like the salted caramel or whatever. I really like that sweet and savory, so I find vegetables really do work well sometimes in their greens.
Yeah, I can see it. I mean, definitely the use of like, you could probably, sub it out like a rhubarb pie. I was thinking through, but and then I was just thinking through like kind of what we were talking. I guess it would depend on the grain and the flavor profile. You could probably make anything into, a cake or a bread or something like that. But just thinking through like how to transition it with other different types of green, and it would be different because the consistency might be a little that. I don't know. The listeners out there, hello people, write in, tell us what you think. What do you think about wild greens and dessert? Have you ever had them? Is there like a regional specialty that you make? Would love to hear it and share it and talk about it. Please write in and let us know.
Hunting is not easy. It never has been. It takes dedication, motivation, a lot of patience, and quality gear. If you manage a food plot, put up stands, or need just one more game camera, we can help at MidwayUSA.com. We opened our doors in 1977 and continue to put customers first by offering super fast, same-day shipping. For just about everything for the outdoors, go to MidwayUSA.com. Midway USA has a huge selection of rifle scopes, plus all the necessary scope rings, bases, mounts, and scope mounting tools to get you on target quickly. We've also got shotgun scopes, pistol scopes, red dot sights, and night vision and thermal imaging optics to serve a variety of different applications. Our offering of weapon lights and laser sights supports a variety of self-defense and target scenarios. Hunters and long-range shooters will appreciate our wide selection of binoculars, rangefinders, and spotting scopes from all of the top brands. For just about everything for shooting, shop MidwayUSA.com.
I'm going to talk a little bit about burdock now. Burdock, which is Arctium minus, I don't know how to speak Latin, so there you go. It might be most famous for inspiring Velcro. That's a fun fact. Its burrs cling stubbornly to everything, but its roots are prized in traditional Asian cooking. It's native to both Europe and Asia, and it was brought to North America for both medicinal and culinary use, and quickly took root in pastures, vacant lots, and along roadsides. This deep-rooted plant competes with native species by monopolizing soil, nutrients, and water. Particularly difficult to remove because its taproot can reach over 3 feet long, and even a small piece left behind can regrow. So pretty prolific grower. Those taproots, that's wild. I'm just thinking like you'd have to dig really, really deep in order to get it and pull it out. And if you miss any little bit, it's just going to come right back. So fortunately, the root is also edible and delicious. It's known as gobo in Japanese cuisine. Burdock root has a crisp texture and an earthy sweet flavor. So go ahead and dig to get that 3 foot of root in there. And it's the root's also rich in fiber, antioxidants, and inulin, a prebiotic beneficial to gut health. I know that's all the hot rage these days. And then the young flower stalks can also be peeled, cooked, and eaten like asparagus. And that's pretty great. I don't know. I was thinking through just now, would that be a good dessert? Probably.
I don't know.
Maybe we'll just make
It's pretty earthy. I think
candied burdock root.
Yeah, maybe. It's pretty earthy, so it would struggle with that.
Yeah.
I think you could candy the stem, though, and it'd be pretty good.
Yeah.
Because the stem is also edible.
Well, harvesting burdock does require a bit of effort, so maybe that's not the way to go. It's not a quick pull, but the labor pays off in a versatile root that can be stir-fried, pickled. Ooh, there we go. Maybe it's like a sweet pickle. It's like a sweet and spicy pickle. You can also braise them as well, which will help. And its earthy flavor complements soy sauce, sesame, and ginger beautifully. Probably also you could get some cool Mediterranean flavors in there, I would think, like red wine vinegar, and I'm thinking through like hummus and lemon and all kinds of cool flavors. That might be good too. Its flavor profile, as mentioned, earthy, slightly sweet, and similar to artichokes, which are really yummy. So you might even think about that as a pickling resource if you've got a recipe on sort of like pickling artichokes. That might be a good substitution. Stir fries, soups, or even Japanese style pickles are really good. So we're talking about a lot of pickling. Don't get sour on us. Ooh, that was a good one. Come on, that was off the cuff. But I've got a crazy cool recipe for you, and this one's from Sir Adam here, and it's summer wild vegetable tempura. So I think it's really cool when you start talking about tempura. I love tempura, just writ large, but this one's really, really cool. There's loads of plants you can do. Some, everything from daylilies to red clover flowers to kelp to dandelion, which we're going to talk more about, morels, of course, puffball mushrooms, sunchoke, cattails, purslane, and I can go on and on and on and on and on. But essentially, for the batter, all you're going to need is 1 cup all-purpose flour, 1 egg, and 1.5 cups ice cold water or soda water. Good job including that. That's a really important one. I like the soda water. And then ice cubes, because the key to tempura batter, keep it as cold as possible. And the dipping sauce, just straightforward, delicious, simple, yummy. White sugar, Japanese soy sauce, and mirin, and a bit of dashi. And that's it. That's all you need. You could stir fry till your heart's content. This would make a great breakout for appetizers or things at a party. Or if you just want to, sit and try to just use up what's in your yard. But I don't know. Adam, have you tried digging for these roots?
I have, actually. I have a little video somewhere. I think it's on my website of me digging for these roots at my neighbor's house because he let me dig them all out behind his garage. And it is a pain in the ass, I gotta say. It's hard. It's easier to dig for them in the spring because the soil is going to be a little looser. I'm just using a little hand trowel. If you had some like big shovels and everything, it'd be a little easier. But I typically only get like a half a foot off or so, breaking it off at some point or cutting it with a shovel. I found that that's okay. If I do that a bunch of times, I can get enough for a good meal. Although it does leave the invasive plant growing, which kind of sucks. If you've ever seen them at the Asian grocery store, they're like 3 or 4 feet long and perfectly, like, no nicks or anything. So they must grow them in some sort of like aeroponically or in sand or something where they can just pull the whole root out really easily. Definitely not growing in the rocky substrate around where I live. But you should also not sleep on the stems of these plants, because the young stems growing up in the second phase, they're like a biennial plant. The second stage is really good for like stir fries and stuff. You just peel it and cook it like a normal vegetable. So yeah, if you want to try this out without digging yourself, go to the Asian grocery store. You can probably find it there, or you can probably find this plant pretty much anywhere. It's so easy to recognize. Look for the old root clusters, the old burr clusters. I'm sure we're all familiar with those. And then find that little rosette kind of underneath. They're like green leaf, like big leaves basically, kind of look like rhubarb, and dig under those. And yeah, it's worth it. It's a pain, but it's kind of fun. It's worth it. And the result's kind of like a thinner parsnip almost, and the flavor is great. So yeah, I recommend you try it out. Another one I go digging for sometimes is dandelion for the roots, which are also edible. But dandelion, let's see, Pterosaxum officinale, something like that. Everyone knows what a dandelion is. It's perhaps the most familiar weed in the world.
Hope everybody turned in just to hear our Latin.
Yeah. Really impressing the scientific folks. This plant was originally from Europe. It was intentionally brought over once again to North America as a medicinal herb and a food plant. Today it is everywhere, from backyards, sidewalks, to mountain meadows. It's kind of like all over the place. Though it's not as actually ecologically harmful as some other invasives, its ubiquity and its really resilience earn it a spot on this list. I don't think it has it's not destroying nature like kudzu. It's not, it's kind of naturalized itself, but it definitely doesn't belong here. Dandelions are actually nutritional powerhouses. A lot of wild foods are, and dandelions definitely fit the bill. The leaves are packed with vitamins A, C, and K, while the roots contain compounds that support liver health. The flowers are edible. They can be made into syrups, jellies, teas, fritters, breads, even wine as well. You make wine out of pretty much anything. So this plant is healthier than spinach or all the things we've been told are kind of the top of the pack in terms of nutrition. These blow it out of the water. What's remarkable to me is how many people spend time and money trying to eradicate a free, nutritious, and renewable food source from their lawns, and they use, if they're pulling it, it's fine, but they're using pesticides and herbicides and all these sprays. It's awful just for this plant that's kind of pretty actually, and then provides all this food. It's kind of silly. The young spring leaves are best for salads, while mature greens are great sauteed with garlic and bacon. The young ones are way less bitter than the old ones, so if you try making dandelion salad in August, it's probably going to be almost too bitter to eat, so keep that in mind. Bacon and garlic always goes good with sauteed greens, especially with a little bitterness, so if you're thinking of like an Italian kind of escarole or something, it works just like that. The roasted roots make an excellent caffeine-free coffee alternative. They can also just be cooked and eaten like the burdock roots we were just talking about. And the flowers can sweeten baked goods or any number of things. They're very versatile. Just please consider eating them out of the yard rather than pulling or spraying them, because I think I look forward to dandelions every year now. They're my first big spring salads. So
I like dandelion jam.
Yeah,
I like to get it.
So good.
I think in Denver, when we lived there, we would harvest the dandelion. We had a lot in our yard, and we would go out and I would pick them with the kids. It's a great kid activity of like, hey, go pick all the dandelions in the yard. And then you show them how to sort of like separate the flower part from the green part. Once again, those probably have Latin names, but sorry, scientists. But once you did that, then you can make it into a tea and then therefore transfer it into a jelly. And really looked forward to that in like the dead of winter of like opening up this delicious jelly, which I think Casey best once described it as like tasting a jar full of sunshine on a dark winter day. And that's exactly how I would describe it. So if at the minimum, send your kids out to pick all the flowers. Like,
yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Make something good. And if you don't feel like going through the whole thing and making jam or wine, you can literally just make a batter, put them in a batter, and then make like fritters out of it, which I think Natalie did on a recipe for that we have on the Harvest Nature website. We also have a dandelion jelly recipe, and also one I'll talk about, it's a dandelion greens recipe. I made this with chickpeas and nduja. Nduja is like kind of it's spelled like apostrophe N-D-U-J-A, if you've ever seen it, like nduja. It's a funky, spicy, cured sausage from Italy, and it's available in sausage form or jarred. Usually you can find it like Italian delicatessens or online if you don't have those around. Actually, I had some for dinner last night. It's really, really delicious and spicy. But I basically just made like this kind of saucy stew with the sausage, which I just kind of sauteed with some onion, tomato paste, garlic, a little bit of tomato, whole bunch of freshly picked dandelion greens, washed well. You're picking them from the yard, and make sure you're not picking them from a park that's got sprayed or anything either. Find a nice, or where the dogs are all shitting on them. Find a nice... Nice clean
you're
place.
You're cooking it.
You're cooking it. Yeah, dogs peeing doesn't bother me so much. Dogs pooping on them. Hey, it's find a clean place for it.
A little side of toxoplasmosis with my dandelion greens.
Delicious. To all that, I'm adding a can of drained chickpeas, some stock, and some Parmesan cheese to garnish. And it's just like a really simple, lovely, kind of light on the meat. It'd be great in a meze spread or as a lunch. And I make something like this every year with the dandelion greens. Really enjoy them. What's your favorite dandelion dish aside from the jelly? Have you explored much with it?
Yeah, there's a cool Italian dish. It's almost it's essentially like a soup. At least the version that I've had. And it's the greens are stewed, and then you add in like ground lamb into it. So you could definitely use ground venison would be a great substitute in for that. Yeah, no, it's so my stepfather, all of his family is Italian. His grandmother, I guess would be my great nonna, grew up in Italy. She immigrated over, and so before she passed away, I had this dish from her. It was also a really cool memory because she's really sweet and awesome, but definitely a delicious take using dandelion greens. I think, and this was a while ago, maybe even before we got big into talking, or I got big into talking and looking for a lot of invasive greens and stuff, and it was just like, wait, dandelion, that's everywhere. And so, yeah, really cool, fun dish. I'll work on the recipe. Maybe that'll be clued up next. That's a really good one at the top of my list.
Yeah.
Join us at a Friends of NRA event where freedom, fun, and firearms come together like nowhere else. With more than 600 events held across the country, there's always one happening near you. From exciting games to exclusive auctions featuring one-of-a-kind firearms and gear you won't find anywhere else. Whether you're a lifelong hunter, a competitive shooter, or simply passionate about defending freedom, there is a seat for you. Visit friendsofnra.org to find an event near you and get ready for a night you won't forget.
At Midway USA, we put customers first. The Nitro Express shipping system is icing on the cake. It was a big investment of time and money to take super fast, low-cost shipping to a whole new level. The Nitro Express helps ensure same-day shipping and low shipping costs. We hope you enjoy the Nitro Express. We built it just for you. For just about everything for the outdoors, go to MidwayUSA.com.
I'm Larry Potterfield with Midway USA. Thanks for your business.
But let's talk a little bit about another really great one that I think is sweet here, is the Himalayan blackberry. And I think I've seen this most prolific kind of in the West Coast largely. I'm trying to think through like Oregon, being out there black bear hunting, and I think seeing a lot of Himalayan blackberry hanging around. So
yeah, I saw it a lot in Vancouver Island. It was everywhere.
Yeah. It's both a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, this one's a funny one like that.
Yeah, it's I think both the next two, I would say. Yeah, it's introduced in North America in the late 1880s for its large sweet fruit, and now it dominates much of the West Coast. Its dense thickets crowd out native plants and form nearly impenetrable barriers for wildlife, also for hunters. And if you've ever hunted in Oregon and had to deal with going through blackberry brambles, you're yay. Once established, it's nearly impossible to remove due to its deep root crowns and prolific seed production. Because think about every seed in a blackberry, there's so many of them, is a plant. And despite its invasive nature, the fruit is undeniably delicious. It's juicy, it's aromatic, and it's bursting with flavor. So many foragers and chefs consider Himalayan blackberry a gold standard of wild berries. They can be eaten fresh, they can be baked, they can be preserved, they can be turned into syrup, and of course, they can be turned into wine. I love blackberry wine. And the young shoots are also edible when peeled and cooked. Although, I don't know. That's a controversial one. I would love to eat it in the plant form, but I love the berries.
I think there's more than enough to go both ways with
probably. Harvesting it can be painful thanks to its thorns, but the reward is pretty worth it. So your flavor profile, if you're thinking about these delicious, tasty berries, sweet, deep, and complex, much like me.
With really floral notes, too.
Yeah, really floral notes. I have a rich berry flavor with floral notes. I'm sought after by most other apex predators. My meat is delicious.
And bees and wasps as well.
Bees and wasps, yes. Yeah. Yes. It's the berries are best used in pies, jams, syrups, and sauces, as previously mentioned. But don't think that it's just reserved for dessert, because have I got a treat for you. I've got a recipe here by one of our staff writers, Quincy, and it's a venison steak with blackberry sauce and corn salad. So really great, awesome, delicious recipe here. So you obviously have your venison steaks, which are amply seasoned with Harvested Nature's Big Game Blend, a little bit of black pepper if you want a little more spice, a little bit more garlic powder if you want a little bit more earthiness, and of course butter, because butter makes things better. For the sauce, you're going to do 1/4 cups of shallots, some olive oil. So I would go with some game stock, pomegranate juice. You could use different flavors. You could use blackberry juice. They make blackberry syrup too. You could also just use some other blackberries and add that in. And then 2 cups of fresh blackberries, 2 teaspoons of crushed sage, 2 teaspoons of honey, and salt and black pepper. So you're getting more towards the savory side of things. And then corn salad, corn, onion, arugula, lemon juice, white wine vinegar, all that. But the sauce is where it's at. So this sauce would probably go largely on any game meat.
Yeah, I bet duck, it'd be really good with duck.
Yeah,
too.
I was thinking really, really good with duck. Probably just, you just take that, put it in a jar, put it in your cooler, and after you sort of course, following your local state's game regulations, after you have harvested said tasty victuals, just sear them up and just dip in this delicious sauce and just eat it off the tailgate. Oh man, that would be tasty. So anyway, this sauce, all the instructions are in the recipe, which we'll link there, but pretty delicious for sure. Adam, I'm guessing you've painstakingly harvested blackberry before.
Oh, definitely. We have native ones around us as well, so I get into the black caps and the raspberries and the purple flower raspberries and the blackberries. Midsummer, I'm just covered in thorn scars and scratches and bleeding and my.
But you know what they say?
That's why I actually. Was that?
You know what they say? Scars are like tattoos, but with better stories, and I think tastier results.
Yeah, true. The stories are just me swearing in a patch of berries, but the tasty results do speak for themselves. It's funny. I go for I bring my dog Arrow out with me whenever I go foraging, and she's actually taught herself by watching me to forage for blackberries and raspberries, and she really likes them. So she'll go and really gently pick one each off the plant and enjoy them while I'm picking them too. So it's kind of a fun thing I get to do with the dog.
That's cool, man.
I don't let her do that with mushrooms though.
Yeah, no, probably not.
And that's what I'm going to talk about next. The golden oyster mushroom. Let's see if I can do this. Pleurotus citrino palladius.
Ooh, you got it.
That wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
These aren't plants, obviously, but they've earned a spot on our list for the same reason. They're non-native, they're fast-spreading, and they're edible, just like the other ones we've talked about. These are also originally from Asia. They were cultivated for food, but escaped into the wild, where they've now naturalized in parts of North America. So I think they were probably being used for oyster mushroom farming, and the spores must have gotten loose at some point. And it's weird. I think it might be, I don't know much about invasive mushrooms, but this is the first one I've ever really heard about, that this invasive mushroom is actually taking over, the dead trees and everything where native oyster mushrooms grow. But like Justin said earlier, it's a bit of a blessing and a curse because I don't know if you've seen pictures of these, but these logs where people are walking up and it's just, like 100 pounds of beautiful golden oyster mushrooms growing on it, which I would love to find, even though I don't really want them. They're not really here yet where I live, but I'm sure they will be soon. They do look delicious. They're beautiful, bright yellow, kind of delicate. They look like your oyster mushrooms that you see in the grocery store, or if you harvest them elsewhere, like the gray ones or blue ones. They, like I said, they can really outcompete native fungi by rapidly colonizing dead wood. But still, as edible mushrooms go, they're amongst the best. Anyone who's tried oyster mushrooms, they're mild, nutty, delicious. They're super versatile. I'd say they're just as versatile as like the white butter mushroom. They saute beautifully. They have this slightly seafood-like aroma that's really nice. Pair well with garlic, butter, soy sauce, fresh herbs. They can be used as a meat substitute or as an addition. Tacos, pastas, risottos. You can just roast them, fry them. While their spread raises some ecological concerns, they're a fine example of a manageable invasive that's also culinary delight. So if you spot a patch, harvest it up, savor every bite. Don't feel bad about removing it from the wilderness. Like I said, the flavor profile is kind of mild, nutty, slightly umami, with a slight hint of seafood. Not enough to turn off people who don't like seafood, I wouldn't think. I have a recipe here, which I think is Justin's recipe, actually.
Mine?
Yeah, cacio pepe with wild pork sausage and oyster mushrooms. Yeah, so this is really simple, delicious, awesome kind of weeknight meal. Just taking spaghetti, olive oil, butter. You're going to use some wild pork sausage. And Justin, you can use some that you've made yourself, or Justin has a recipe here where you make some sausage with black pepper, parsley, garlic powder, fennel seeds, onion, lots of oyster mushrooms and olive oil, and you're just kind of like cooking it all up in a cacio pepe style with your noodles, your pasta, and it's going to be super delicious. So definitely head over to Harvest Nature and check that out. Make it your new easy weeknight dish that the kids will love and you'll love. It's going to be great.
You know what's funny is I was thinking about, we were just talking about the growth and prolific spread of the oyster mushroom, and I don't know why, but the movie The Blob came into my mind.
Oh yeah,
because like it spreads, but they didn't really know how it spreads, and it's like, doctor, nothing will stop it, and it's like the oyster mushroom, because even though if you pick it, you could be like bringing the spores all over the place, and then therefore kind of making it spread more,
make it worse.
So, and then there's a quote: "I think you should send us the biggest transport plane you have and take this thing to the Arctic or somewhere and drop it where it will never thaw." There we go. That's how we
get climate change. Yeah.
That's how we until climate change. Yeah, then the oyster mushroom's back again, consuming people. Yeah. That's not really how it works, but no, definitely eat it. But I think as we think through closing, invasive plants and fungi, they might be some of our most persistent ecological challenges. We talk a lot about animals, but I think they're also similar to the animals as well, like overlooked opportunities. Can we eat our way out of it? Probably not, but as conscious eaters and practicing culinary conservation, I think it's really good to target these species when they're around. And, it also gets back in the sink of eating seasonally. And it's a good reminder that like good food can come from unexpected places, and foraging is definitely a form of stewardship. We take use of the land a lot through the consumption of animals and fish, and even local varieties. But also like removing invasives helps make room for those local native varieties to return. And by harvesting, eating invasive, we're not just connecting with the land, but we're helping to restore it and maintain it. So I think next time you head outside, bring a basket, bring a pocket knife, keep an open mind, and really like think through what you're walking through, what you can do to help sort of make your piece of the earth a little better. I don't know. Adam, last thoughts.
Yeah, I think we only mentioned a few. There's so many more. There's people like Pascal Baudard, who you should definitely check out the podcast episode we did with him. He pretty much does nothing but invasive species. Yeah. And he's living in a place where there are a lot in California. I know where you are, Justin, in Hawaii, there's a lot. Mm-hmm. In places like Florida. Any place that gets kind of warmer weather will get more of them. But yeah, there's just so many out there. So, if you want to like go and just get a huge amount of food, that's the way to do it, because you don't have to feel bad about removing it from the wilderness. So
Yeah.
Get out there and find some invasives that you like and pick the hell out of them.
Eat them. Eat the shit out of those things. And don't let the blob take over. All right, everybody, thanks for listening. Be sure to follow us on social media at Harvesting Nature and at The Intrepid Eater. We want to hear about your dessert thoughts. Do wild greens belong in desserts? Yes or no? Let us know. That rhymed really well. But anyway, also, too, subscribe, review, share your thoughts. Tell us what you're foraging, what you're cooking. And we love feedback, too. If you've got a topic you want to hear more about, let us know, and we'll chat it up. And remember, when you eat invasives, you're helping the ecosystem. So thanks, everybody, for listening. Please leave us a review. Punch that 5-star button. Tell us we're doing right or tell us we're doing wrong. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.